Lesson B2, Multiculturalism. Beyond those cultural universals, tools and knowledge of survival, what makes up a culture and how does culture differ between groups? When multiple ethnic or cultural groups live in the same society, how do they interact? We talked before about human culture generally as knowledge and behavior passed down through interaction within a group. But when we talk about a particular culture, we mean many different things, all of which make up the common ways of life of a group of people. This includes both material objects, like the jeans and cowboy hat associated with the cultural stereotype of the United States of America, but also non-material ideas and behavior, such as the American stereotype of being informal and flag-waving patriotic. This image shows a related stereotype about Americans, that we not only love our country, but we think the world revolves around it and nothing else matters. We are known for being ethnocentric, assuming our ways of life are not only the most important, but the only right way of doing things. This stereotype isn't true of everyone in the United States, and Americans are certainly not the only people to think this way. But that is why it's so important to study other cultures. While DNA shapes our biology, giving us a particular height and eye color, culture shapes our society, giving us particular social structures and tools. Material culture includes anything made by people that can be touched. Non-material culture includes everything from external behavior, our actions in the world, to internal knowledge, understanding, beliefs, and values. What we are used to becomes a social construction of what's normal, and being deviant from these norms can seem strange at first. But material culture around the world has adapted in many different ways. Some use chopsticks to eat sushi, others use forks to eat spaghetti. Whether it's for warmth or to keep the sun off your face, American, Indian, German, and Tibetan cultures have each created their own traditional hats. Our buildings were often made from materials available nearby in pre-industrial societies, like this traditional Madeiran house, and may be raised to avoid floods like this Indonesian home. Similarly, a French adaptation to conditions in Louisiana gives us the classic shotgun, and of course our material culture reflects not just our needs, but also our aesthetic values, so color too can be an important feature. But the French aren't the only people whose culture has diffused out into other parts of the world. Ethnic cultures may develop among a local population, but cultural traits also move from place to place. In our increasingly globalized world, where ideas and materials and people can move so easily, are some cultural structures like fast food, jeans, and cell phones becoming new cultural universals, at least among industrialized societies? Materials and ideas become a part of a culture as those people begin to use them in a consistent way. Diamonds in the earth are just a mineral, but when we fashion them into a wedding ring, they take on new meaning. Diamond rings are more than just the materials that make them up. Non-material culture includes our use of symbols, such as the flag, a thumbs up, which can mean very different things in different cultures, by the way, or diamond rings as a symbol of marriage engagement, which, by the way, is a fairly recent cultural tradition created by jewelry companies, but that's a story for another lesson. We take simple shapes and give them symbolic meanings, such as the sounds associated with our letters and punctuation. Put those letters together and you get words. Put those words together and you get language. Culture can change, not just as symbols from another language diffuse into a new culture, but also as people innovate to discover and invent entirely new ideas and objects. Text speech has added to our language by young people adapting to new technologies that require shorter writing and quick emotional cues. So how many different cultures are there? Well, it's difficult to say with blurry and overlapping borders that are constantly changing. Religion can be an indicator of belonging to a certain group, but language even more so. Ethnic groups most often share language, which allows them to share ideas and knowledge and interact. So by that distinction, there are over 300 ethnic groups present in the United States and 7,000 in the world. Here in New Orleans, a place that has gone through many dominant languages, from native tongues to French and English, but today about 10%, or 10 out of 100 people, don't speak English in the home. Due to cultural globalization, About half the world's languages are spoken by less than 10,000 people each, and declining as young people learn more common languages. English is the third most common language in the world, after Mandarin, Chinese, and Spanish, but for many people who speak multiple languages, it has become a fairly standard international business and internet language. But even English sounds very different when spoken in different dialects, regional versions of a larger language. My partner is British, which means she was raised in the British Isles, specifically in London, the capital of the United Kingdom of England, Scotland, Wales, and North Ireland. When we first got together, we had many misunderstandings due to her British English not matching my American English. When she asks me if I took the rubbish bin out to the skip, I now know that she means the garbage can out to the dumpster. When I told her I was going to wear my pants to the bar, she laughed at me because it sounded like I was leaving my trousers behind and going out in my underwear. But language isn't the only subtle difference between American and British cultures. Non-material culture also includes norms of behavior, like which side of the road to drive on, the left in the UK and the right in the USA, and how to greet one another. Europeans often greet one another with a kiss on the cheek rather than a hug or a handshake, which gave me a bit of culture shock. Greetings are an important social structure that function to give us an easy way past any awkward first moments. When two people meet from different cultures, they have to learn how to appropriately behave in even the most basic interactions. Lion King doesn't offer much material culture, other than the paint that the baboon holy man put on young Simba's face, but it does show some norms of their society, including Simba's rite of passage, and the structure of their social hierarchy, with the eldest son of the Lion King taking over after his death. Norms can be informal, casual folkways that people generally see as normal, but aren't specifically required behavior, such as shaking hands or waiting to start eating until everyone has been served their food. There are sanctions, both positive rewards and negative punishments, for breaking norms, and anyone can sanction such informal norms with a smile or a glare. But there are also explicitly required formal norms, seen as rigid mores that can be officially sanctioned by authorities when you deviate from them. If you break an informal norm of politeness by burping at the dinner table, people might groan at you, but when you break a formal norm of law by running a red light, you can get arrested.